charge anybody. Hey Jocelyn.
How's it going? Good to see you as always.
As always, I'm thinking the same thing. So thank you for being here. Bringing the purple aura around you,
right?
Filling up the room.
Purple, my favorite color.
And welcome everybody to Live on the Beat. If you don't know, Hartford Public Library has its own streaming platform exclusively for our amazing and diverse community of Hartford artists of different genres. And this is actually the first episode where we're featuring one of the very first artists to have her music on there. Now, one of the things I like about the Beat is that it's not exclusive, right? You can have your music and do have your music on Spotify, Apple, all these other things, which I'm not going to give them no free promo right now. But it's not like the Beat is tying us down as Hartford artists, right? It's just another platform. But it's an extra special thing. I also like that they give compensation for Hartford artists up front. So it'd probably be the equivalent of like 20, not even 20,000, probably 1 million streams on, one of these platforms. You get that just up front. And that's not $1 million, by the way. So don't get it out of context. But it's nice to have someone give someone like a nice project, just like you get for performing at a show or something like that, for giving our music. And then other artists in the community can see, oh, wow, our community honors us and puts value on our music just as much as outside of the community.
For sure, for sure.
So you were one of the first round of artists included.
Yes, my group known as the Lost Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to say Jocelyn Pleasant and the Lost Tribe, but I keep it to the group name. And Nigel White reached out to me. And so the music that we have on there is actually a compilation. So I pulled different songs,
right,
from different releases that we have.
That's interesting.
We have a couple of EPs available on Spotify, on Bandcamp, more or less. And so I pulled a couple of different things. And then what I also did is I put unreleased footage from us. We did a show in Bushnell Park.
Right.
In summer of 2021.
Yes.
And we were recording that live.
Yes.
And so a lot of that came out very well.
Wow.
So I said, let me put a few of those specific songs.
That's generous.
On this specific compilation, so that you can only get it, you can only listen to it.
Wow.
On the Beat. I wanted to do something that was exclusive like that.
Thank you.
So if you go ahead and find the Lost Tribe on the Beat, you'll find a variety of our music on there, and again, previously unreleased.
That's amazing.
Now it is released only on the Beat.
Because you do so much stuff. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
So you actually found a way did you give it like a different name?
It's just the song, but live at Bushnell Park.
Yes.
So we had studio recordings of the same songs. But these are just the live version. That was done in summer of 2021. So
Hartford, you getting something exclusive, and lovers of Hartford, you getting something exclusive. So what was the experience like? I mean, you're basically the first artist on this podcast. I think I told you the first person I interviewed was actually Nigel, who is the creator of this.
Correct.
Right? So you're the first featured artist. You were also one of the first to be put into the program through Hartford Public Library. What is that like? Because in some ways you're taking a chance. A lot of artists follow trends. So it's kind of like, oh, this artist did that. I want to do that. Right. I'm going to be like them. And what's sad is like, you're never like them.
Right.
And you can be like the person that wants to be like them. And now you're pigeonholed as like that person that always wants to be someone else. You don't do that. You kind of take a chance on doing things, and they're always amazing, right? But we can't say that they're amazing because someone else proved it before you. How does that make you feel, or what's your process like?
Yeah, I think, a lot of the way that the Lost Tribe came together, a lot of the way that we function as a group is just so organic. It's so natural that, again, there's not as much of a need to feel like we're following this trend or following that trend, or trying to, struggle to necessarily create this new and vibrant thing. Things just happen within the group. And what I love about it, and what I really try to capture with us, is the fact that, it's so homegrown.
Yes.
Everybody in the group from Hartford in some way, tied to Hartford in some way, went to a particular program, a school, or something in Hartford. And so it just made perfect sense for us to be, on a platform like The Beat, doing things like this, performing in Bushnell Park, a couple summers in a row at this point, at least 3 or 4 summers in a row, we've been in Bushnell Park doing performances.
Which is one of the most, for people who don't know, this is one of the most iconic parks in America, actually designed by the same person that did like Central Park in New York.
Yeah, and having music consistently every year, the jazz festival bringing in
at the band show,
as much as the the Monday Night Jazz and the Jazz Festival and all the different musical.
I heard the last time there was like 30,000 people that came to the jazz concert. So this is like what Jocelyn is talking about. She performs on that stage where people come from all over the world.
And so then to then have that experience, and then the first On the Beat concert that happened at the Bushnell, in the actual Bushnell,
which the Bushnell is also the place where like Broadway plays come. When they're coming through Connecticut, they come to the Bushnell.
Exactly. And so
the Connecticut Forum comes to the Bushnell.
Correct. And I think I had gone to that just before this concert happened. And so it was a great opportunity for us to be featured in that very first On the Beat concert with our friend Ghazi and Mixa Sean.
Yes.
It was just such a great night.
And shout out to Dom McClellan, because Dom is actually one of the sponsors providing a space for us right now.
Gotcha.
And when I was introducing you and Dom, he was saying, she's familiar. And I said, yeah, remember the show at the Bushnell? He was like, oh, I definitely know you. Because that show was magical. That whole night was just like, when music is in the pocket, I know there's some improvisation. Like, everything can't be dictated. So there's certain things you can't predict. And everything falls into place. And it was one of those nights where everyone remembers.
And again, like I say, just organic.
Yeah.
Natural. Everybody, we know each other. We all flow. We all work together. Whether it's, Mixa Sean standing there cheering for us, or Damien playing
Curtis,
playing with Ghazi, and
AKA King Solomon.
Yeah, and then Damien just did a project with Lost Tribe as well, and so everybody, we all are just so interwoven. So having a platform like this.
Okay, let me pull it back before we get into that further. Because since everything's so genuine, organic, and natural, and aligned and working together for you, like at the same time, this is like a revolutionary new thing, The Beat live. Like, every city don't have their own streaming platform. In fact, I don't know of any city that has their own streaming platform. So I think we all get the sense that you'll be doing amazing things regardless of what comes up, right? But it doesn't mean I'm going to take it for granted. Like, I have a phrase, take it for grateful. Which means both I take it and expect it and want it and let's go with it, but I also am not going to dismiss the value of it just because I expect it and have that standard.
Yeah.
Right? You can have a standard and expect great things without saying, oh, this is just what I do and it's going to happen regardless, right? I have to keep my intention and my focus and my gratitude. So for you, also as a representative of other artists in Hartford, which you are, like you talked about how many people you collaborate, I feel like that very much has a spirit of, I'm representing for people other than my individual body.
Yeah.
You're representing for the diaspora. You bring in rock, you bring in hip hop, genres, cultures, people, places. what is the significance, stepping outside of Jocelyn, Pleasant, and Lost Tribe? What is the significance of a platform like The Beat for artists in general to have a platform?
I think it's important for not only us within this particular location in Hartford, but for anybody who comes in and out of Hartford in this area, for us to be able to say, look, this is who we are. We have you on the site. We have Lost Tribe. We have we have jazz. We have hip hop. We have Latin jazz, and so many people. And
we're not just one thing.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain that to people sometimes. You know, when you're not here.
Yeah.
And, I wherever I go, if people see me play and they hear me play, oh, where'd you learn? Where'd you learn how to do that? And I'm like, oh, Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Right.
What's going on in Hartford? And so something like this, I think, is great to have as representation. To say, to not only have people like you or I, whoever say, where we're from, who we,
It's different from saying it to be
someone
like,
can see
this,
it.
you
Look,
can see it.
Here it is. Like, browse through this site, stream all these wonderful, great, world renowned.
Yes.
Not just local.
Yes.
International. Let me put that out there.
Come on, dog. Tell the truth.
Internationally, renowned, people are just right here among us, around us, performing, giving of their time, being community members, so on and so forth. And I think the Beat is a great representation of that. And again, like I say, wherever I go, I'm like, oh, music is what I'm doing. So it's like, where are you from? How did you learn?
Yeah.
And so to say Hartford, but then to show Hartford, and all the interconnections of all the different people that are on that site. It's just, it's, you can't do it.
Because a lot of people will either choose between like having diversity or having like unity. And we do have a nice mix through some of our projects like this, like you're alluding to, where there's diversity and unity.
Right.
A lot of these artists have either been fans of each other, support each other's show, or even collaborated. But they have different fan bases and demographics, especially internationally. There's different places where you would locate them.
For sure.
So back to that show at the Bushnell, how did you prepare for that? Because you have so many collaborators, and also this is like the launch of the...
Well, yeah, so I kind of thought about it as, trying to perform, the songs that were, on the Beat, that were on the website already, and just have,
Which is a hard thing, because you said you had things from so many different projects.
have more live representation. I approached it collaboratively, as I do.
Okay.
So, of course, Ghazi performed.
Yes.
With us.
Killed it.
There was... I had visions for more collaborative performances that night, but I took what I could get.
I'm sure, because your collaborations never end. I'm sure. But okay, never mind that. Within that same question, we're not. But within that, how do you, when you have so many things going on, how do you represent? Because from the outside looking in, your stuff looks like the most collaborative, diverse ever. But I'm sure in your head, you're like, this is just a slice of what I do, right? So how do you
I think it's just me realizing just from a personality standpoint and just from a artistic standpoint. Yeah. That's just who I am. I'm somebody, and when I created the Lost Tribe, that's what I wanted it to be. Yeah. You wouldn't think that this would be a group, but then here we are. Yes. On this stage together. Yes. And it all makes sense.
Yes. It's not. And I love the track I have with you because it's a question. The track is called "Is It Black? Is It Hip Hop?" Yep. It's a perfect example. We not gonna debate it. We just gonna show you.
We're gonna put it out there because these are the topics. These are the kind of things that, of course, inherently are talked about.
Right. African polyrhythms. Correct. DJ scratching, and then a lot of your music you have the Afro-Latina connection is in there.
Yeah, that was important to me too, because again, that can tend to get so separated. And you think, oh, Latina, it's not African. But that's as we know.
Crazy.
as we know,
Conga.
that's not true.
Right?
That's not true. So again, how do you not just dive off in that direction and say, okay, we're a salsa band? No. But how do you bring those elements?
That's hard.
How do you bring those elements? But then, like you say, have a DJ scratching with it, or have somebody rapping over it, or have somebody, playing the quads and stuff like Christian is doing. And but again, are the quads not similar to the timbales? I like to think they are. So,
but people don't realize, like, you actually are like a scholar, right? So you do it,
right?
Like I think I told you, you're like the Bruce Lee of it to me, because Bruce Lee was like a great actor, but he was also like, he would whoop that behind. In real life he could fight, but he would teach martial arts and the philosophy. And you really get out there, you do these shows, you're on Live on the Beat, you're making music, you're collaborating with everybody, and you're publishing like scholarly work on the African diaspora, on the Hartford music scene.
Right, on African drumming and djembe playing in the United States, and just trying to, again, understand like where all these things are coming from, and who are the predecessors and the the people that came before me doing what I'm doing. Because again, I'm not the first person, I'm not the only person.
The cipher continues.
And that's what I like to say about Lost Tribe too. If you look up our information, there's a particular video where I was talking about I like to think we're unique in that we're doing things our own way as the Lost Tribe, but we're not the first people. We're not the only people. So this formula is something that could be here in this place, it could be here in that place, but this is just our unique blend because we come from this place and we have this understanding as people from this location with that Hartford sound, which I think is a sound. Is definitely a thing.
I don't want to misrepresent that, like, so there is all this diversity in this culture, right? But again, like, take it for grateful. I think what Jocelyn is doing with the Lost Tribe, what you're doing, not to talk about, like, you're not here, but talking to just for people who don't know you, I'm keeping in mind, like, there's a lot of segregation in this area. And that's what's beautiful about people such as yourself, the scholars and the artists. There is all this diversity and culture here. But a lot of times if you lived here, you wouldn't go right across the street. There's some places in this area where, like, you cross the street and the houses look completely different and the culture's completely different. And it's all right there, but it's so segregated. So it's almost like when you have this and you're not the first, like we do. Like, we're fans of the people that came before us and the genres and the culture. It's like, it's almost incumbent on us, like, oh my God, like, people are so close together with this culture. Y'all got to get in the same room. And I think the music gives them an excuse, right?
There's no greater way to connect people, honestly.
We talked about you and the Lost Tribe. It kind of makes sense where that name came from, but do you just want to say real quick with anything about the name The Lost Tribe?
The name The Lost Tribe. So it started off, I want to say kind of as a joke, actually. It was like, oh, ha, 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 The Lost Tribe. Yeah. But then when I really thought about it, I said, you know what? Yeah. That's a very appropriate name. Yeah. And, the gentleman that joked about it, I think he had more religious connotations when he was talking about The Lost Tribe. Which is funny because that's actually not my first thought.
Right.
That was actually not my first thought.
That is funny. So the whole thing is funny. It's hilarious.
But you know what I mean? So he was thinking more of the religious connotations of the Lost Tribe for people that know what that's about.
For people having a sacred origin and then finding themselves in a place where they just think they regular degulars, and it's like, no, you are the lost chosen people, right?
And also dealing with lost tribes in terms of Judaism and in terms of Black Judaism and things like that. So that's where I think the person that was joking with us came with. But in my mind, I said it's actually bigger than that to me. This idea of as I said in one of the tracks, feeling being sort of culturally disconnected maybe from the roots being Africa. So maybe being lost, quote unquote, in that respect, but still being a tribe. Yeah. So there's this.
Have you ever seen like a child that's been like a daughter or son, they've been separated from their mom or dad, didn't grow up with them, whatever, but like they get around whatever aunts, uncles, and people, and they're kind of like, you do that smile. Like we talked about this a couple times. That's the same thing I get from what you're talking about. It's like, it's both honoring where we came from,
correct,
and also honoring, not that, it's not just I got it from you, right? It's this thing like, there's a part of me that is the same as you, even though we're separated.
Correct.
Like, I own this.
Yes.
Right? No matter how much we're separated,
it's
we
not
both
only
share
similar,
this.
but there's also now this whole entire culture that has sprung from that.
Yeah.
It is also its own thing.
Yes. So the International Hip Hop Festival this year is 50 years, right? And this is an amazing festival that you are a part of. You are booked to be one of the headliners because I think you represent everything that you're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a DJ Zanhale, from maybe the greatest DJ in the world right now. But a lot of people wouldn't know because whoever's in the magazine or on Instagram, right, trends, right?
Yeah.
But at the International Hip Hop Festival, it's like you have some of these people like this sister coming straight from South Africa. And, you know, we kind of got some of these rhythms from Africa, but not directly.
For sure.
And then hip hop kind of goes back to Africa,
For sure.
but not directly.
Not directly.
So it's just like all these places hip hop is represented.
Mm-hmm.
What was the significance for you of headlining, and what did you pick up in the atmosphere of the festival as well? What did you give on that stage that was different from other stages? Did you feel more welcome? And what did you pick up from other creative elements in the area?
Yeah, I loved being able to be as eclectic as the Lost Tribe is, like, but at a hip hop festival.
Yes.
Like, I loved that.
Yeah.
That, you know, that whatever powers that be said, oh, you know, we don't need them to just be straight.
Right.
You know, DJs and rappers, like, no,
Right.
this is a band.
Yeah.
And we gonna give you, you know, you said the Latina flair, and we gonna play some kind of salsa music, but then we also gonna have spoken word. And then,
all of it.
And then also just some straight up funk, you know, instrumental music, and we just wove everything.
You did.
All together, and I'm grateful that, you know, to have an opportunity to have been in a hip hop festival. I mean, just personally as a fan, as a person, I've always loved hip hop, and just, you know, as a drummer is something I always wanted to be a part of, as, you know, as a band that's playing hip hop. Yeah. You know, and then of course, you know, shout out DJ Stealth.
Yes.
Being somebody that, you know, I've known for so many years, and you know, him being part of the Lost Tribe now is just the icing on the cake, you know, for that kind of
it's
connection.
Perfect because he's really known as a hip hop DJ to the core. Like, I can't tell you how many b-boy and b-girl ciphers. Like, when you talk about being a DJ, when b-boys and b-girls come and dance and battle for hours, and you're the DJ, that's DJ, that's hip hop culture. Not using the word hip hop to do whatever. Like, he really know hip hop culture and DJing and breaks and everything. But he's also like strangely able to know facts about everything and culture in the world, and things from 1972 and German techno funk, and you know what I mean? So like,
a walking encyclopedia of music.
You and him together, scholars and musicians, like, it makes perfect sense.
It's so crazy, but like having him, you know, being more of a recent addition to the group, but always having that element, you know, that I did not know was missing. Now I'm like, how were you not a part of this in the first place?
Perfect.
It's such a perfect match to have him in the group too.
What projects are coming up for you now? I know you just did a film project. I got to see it, actually. It's amazing.
So one of the main projects now is a film project. It's called Diaspora Stories Hartford. And so what I wanted to do with that project is to, again, continue on with the goals of the Lost Tribe, as far as highlighting Hartford artists. What are their stories? Who did they come up with? How did they come up in this particular community? So we highlighted a few different artists in this area, and then show them also collaborating with the Lost Tribe, because again, that was another focus of mine, is to not only have the artists themselves be featured, but how are they blending and how are they going to be featured with the Lost Tribe. And so It's a 3-part series, and so
I got you.
2 parts. So
So,
the 2 parts.
so if I understand, it's not just like, okay, be a platform for these individuals, but also show how we are all. We don't just. It's not the object of a passive observer, right? We don't do that in these cultural spaces. If I'm observing you, I'm affecting you, and I'm aware of that. Right. Okay.
Right. And so with the particular artists that we collaborated with, one was Jolette Creary in Studio 860.
Shout out to Jolette.
Yeah.
Studio 860.
Of course, yes, and of course them. And they actually danced. Well, they danced to the joint we did is hip hop, so that was one of the collaborative pieces. But they also danced to a song of ours that's on the beat.
Okay.
The one of the exclusive live ones.
Exclusive.
So I always
check it out.
So I always tried to wrap it up that way. So
thank you.
And Damian Curtis was also part of that series, and we had a great time performing and playing with him and getting to talk to him about his story. And then the last part of that series, we call it the Drummer's Path.
Yes.
And it features Abu Alvin Carter Sr., Alvin Carter Jr., shout out to them, Inara Ramin, Assad Jackson, who we've been talking about, DJ Stealth, and myself, and we did a roundtable discussion, which was, just so enlightening and so great. And we talked about, our journey in this thing called African drumming and how we all got to where we are and how Hartford is such an important part of that and such an important place for that. And so...
even more than people in Hartford would know, right?
Even more than really anybody would know.
Yeah.
Even I've been figuring out things, now about just the importance of that. And so that was the final piece of that series. And so moving forward with that, you can find out about where you can see various screenings.
Yes, I was about to ask you.
Yeah, we're going to be posting on our website, losttribect.com.
Okay.
Hopefully doing something collaborative with the Beat.
Okay.
As well, so that you might be seeing the docuseries on the Beat.
So the
website.
Beat doesn't just have audio.
No.
It's growing into more and more branches of fruit for the community.
So again, those things are in the works, and you can follow the Lost Tribe on Instagram, Lost Tribe CT. You could also follow our website.
Let me ask you a question about that, just about the series. So when you're posting where they can see the screenings next, is that the only way they can see it? Like, it's not on, they can't subscribe to watch the series on Vimeo or something like that. So they have to go online and get to those screenings. And that seems like it's part of the still community building thing, right? Like I remember I was dancing at the end, like Stealth was there. Yeah. I can't guarantee he's always going to be there, but he was there. David was there, David Curtis. And so, like, I couldn't stop dancing.
Again, part of it is the community nature, and part of it is the discussion.
Yes.
Part of
the
that
Q&A right after
is understanding, because there's just so much to it.
Yes.
And so, I didn't feel like I could just drop that on people and just not,
It's not a one-way interaction.
Yeah, and so for the time being, what that's going to be is, you check us out, losttribect.com. You can see where we're going to be next with that particular series. And that came as a result of actually some work I did with the Free Center.
Okay.
Another important organization.
Yeah, shout out to the Free Center. You're one of the first Black, Indigenous, People of Color grant recipients.
Yeah, they had a series of grants that they were giving out to Hartford and Hartford-based artists.
Right.
And so I was lucky enough to receive that grant. And so that whole project was funded by that.
Wow.
It was funded by that grant. And so
congratulations to you on that too, of being one of the grant recipients.
Thank you. And so that's how that series came about. You can always catch the Lost Tribe performing somewhere.
Right. And that's also through your Instagram. I know you post up as well as the website.
Yeah, also through the website, both Lost Tribe CT.
What about you're also part of the new Artist Accelerator grant recipients. Didn't you win that as well?
Correct. Yeah, that's
why are you walking around winning things without everything else?
That's a fellowship program that's sponsored through the 224 Ecospace.
Okay.
So that's
shout out to Reverend Shelley Best.
Yeah, and Andre Rochester.
Yes, my brother.
And so that particular fellowship is based on artists as business people. So it's kind of like a lot of business classes, marketing, understanding yourself.
I stand on that.
Yourself as an entity.
We the lost tribe, but we the found tribe too.
Yeah. And so each artist within that fellowship is paired with an organization to then put on whatever project comes about. Brilliant. So I've been paired with.
So you're actually helping the organization meet their mission that they already have.
Correct.
But just making it more,
correct.
You're adding that
again,
artistic.
The collaborative process.
Yes.
So we're looking to work together. It's not them telling me or me telling them. It's no, we come to this conclusion together.
You're jamming.
But
instead of jamming with an instrument, you're jamming with a business.
With a business. And so
are these all nonprofits?
I'll be working with Hillstead Museum in Farmington.
This summer, do you have any projects coming up? You're collaborating with businesses, nonprofits, you're collaborating with musicians. Are you doing any collaborating with dancers and stuff like that?
Yeah, we'll be collaborating with Lauren Horn, who has a wonderful production called Renaissance Gal.
Okay, and shout out to Lauren.
What's up, Lauren? And so she has reached out to me to collaborate musically with her group. And again, a function of the Lost Tribe for me always was to collaborate with dancers. Wow. Always. Live music and dance, I feel like, is, unmatched.
So they might be doing some choreography to music you're creating?
To us, yes. To us.
So it won't just be like you're smashing it together.
No,
you're going to create.
It's going to be very, very purposeful.
Where is this going to be available?
This will be actually outside at Butler McCook.
Okay.
We have a couple of different dates.
Downtown Hartford, Butler McCook.
Yeah, downtown Hartford, Butler McCook.
So all the buses go there. Whether you're in Hartford or not, this is where all the buses go.
And so that'll be a few of our performances.
A series.
That
sounds like something you don't just do once, right? You don't put all that effort.
And she's already, been out here with her particular performance. So probably find Lauren. Yeah. Find her if you can.
Yeah.
Because she already has that series is already working for her, and she was another recipient of the same grant actually. Through the Free Center.
Shout out to the Free Center, by the way.
Yes,
shout out to everybody involved in it.
And thank you, Save Our Stories.
Yes.
For producing my docuseries. Shout out to Nigel. Couldn't forget him on that one. Nigel did all the videography.
Right.
For the same for my docuseries.
When we're talking about the series she was talking about, Nigel filmed that as well as this.
Could not forget about that. My bad.
Go watch our episode with Nigel too, because he's trying to stay behind the scenes.
He is. You hear him laughing in the background.